New tonight, President Trump leaning on his fellow Republicans when it comes to the Russia investigation. CNN learning that the president called North Carolina's Republican Senator Tom Tillis, questioning him about his bill to prevent independent counsel Robert Mueller from being fired by the president. That follows news that the president went after Majority Leader Mitch McConnell for failing to protect him from the Russia investigation. And Politico reporting that he expressed frustration when talking to Congressman Bob Corker, or rather Senator Bob Corker, over a bill sanctioning Russia. Out front, Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California. He is also a member of both the House Intelligence and Judiciary Committees at the center of the Russia investigations. Congressman, thanks for taking time from your brief holiday to join us.
Of course, Jim. Thanks for having me back.
Congressman, when you look at these really repeated attempts to pressure not only GOP lawmakers, but the now fired FBI Director James Comey, his Attorney General, all, it seems, seeking some protection from the Russia probe. In your view, does that amount to obstruction of justice?
Well, innocent people, Jim, cooperate with investigations. They try and work with the prosecutors and the FBI agents. They don't obstruct, they don't bully, they don't constantly check in with witnesses and try and make investigations go away. We saw this with the way he treated former Director Comey. We've heard about it with Director Mike Rogers and Dan Coats, and now we're hearing about it with the Senate investigations. It's clear that these investigations are getting too close to the president and his family, and he's trying to do everything he can to try and influence their direction. That is not how an innocent person usually conducts themselves.
You're a lawyer, a former prosecutor. Does it untoward, perhaps unethical, does it break the law to influence in that way?
Well, he's certainly making potential witnesses out of these different senators, because if he is trying to obstruct or if he is trying to impede the investigations, he is creeping into an area that could be unlawful. I'll leave that to Bob Mueller. I miss the courtroom a lot, Jim, but you know, we just want Bob Mueller and his team to have all the latitude possible. Thankfully, a bipartisan effort in the Senate is underway to make sure that if the president were to get rid of Bob Mueller, he would still be on the job in one way or another. So that was encouraging to see.
You'll, of course, return from recess a little more than a week. Lots of work to do. Intelligence Committee, Judiciary Committees. As these investigations pick up again, in effect, what will be your first order of business when you're back from recess? In particular, which witnesses are you looking to question? The priorities.
It's going to be it'll be a busy September with a lot of relevant and percipient witnesses. We interviewed a number of them right before the break. Witnesses are being interviewed right now through the recess. And we also want to hear from every person implicated on the June 9th Clinton-Russia private and confidential email. We're seeking to bring them in as well. They would be very important. And Jim, look, this investigation will go as far and as deep as the Republicans are willing to find courage and patriotism to join us. So far, I've been encouraged that we've made progress like we have in the last couple months. But you know, their job is not to protect the president or to look the other way. We want them to be partners in this, because that's the only way we're going to find out what happened.
You mentioned the June 9th meeting in Trump Tower last year during the campaign, Donald Trump Jr., Russians promising that damaging information on Hillary Clinton. We are also reporting, as you know, that congressional investigators are looking at an email from a top Trump aide during the campaign that passed on information about a person trying to arrange a meeting between campaign officials and Russian President Vladimir Putin. And crucially, sources say the email sent by Rick Dearborn, now the president's deputy chief of staff, but timing-wise sent around the same time as that Trump Tower meeting. How significant is this in your view at this point?
Well, Jim, when we take a step back, what is baffling about all of these efforts by the Russians and the Trump campaign to either meet or connect with each other is that they took place during the course of a presidential campaign. In every presidential campaign in recent history, the people who ran those campaigns will tell you, you live day to day. You're just trying to make it to the next day, and you're just trying to help your candidate win. You only win votes in the United States. So it's really baffling as to why you would be working and trying to talk to a foreign adversary of all countries, especially one like Russia. So, you know, it does, you know, come into, I guess, context when you look at all the other number of attempts that were being made. And if you weren't, you know, trying to get your candidate elected, you have to be wondering why so many contacts with the Russians, unless you were trying to set up a working relationship, as that June 9th email suggested.
Longtime Donald Trump associate Roger Stone, he had really quite an alarming warning today for politicians that call for impeachment. He told TMZ, and I'm quoting here, any politician who votes for it would be endangering their own life. Now, this, of course, is a person who's spoken to the president and that your committee wants to question. How concerning are these comments in your view?
It's just more of the intimidation of witnesses that we've seen from the Trump campaign, and this central witness, somebody who had tweeted out that John Podesta is going to spend his time in the barrel. He'd never talked about John Podesta before in his tweets or in his public commentary, but sends this ominous tweet months before John Podesta's emails are hacked. And then we later learned that he was indeed, Roger Stone, in contact with the Russian hackers. And so we certainly want to hear from him. But, you know, I don't think people are going to be intimidated by that. We have a job to do and a country to protect, and we're going to do it.
Congressman Swalwell, thanks very much.
My pleasure, Jim.
And out front next, the White House ducking questions about the border wall and the president's threat of a government shutdown if Congress doesn't fund it. And yet another group distancing itself from Trump tonight. Prominent rabbis ditching a long tradition with the president.